Hello, new face, who this? Like literally since the last time I saw you on this channel, I've gotten a new face since I had my main jaw surgery finally. If you want to learn more about that and why I had jaw surgery, then you can go check out my other channel, which is linked to in the description down below. But for now, back to this channel. How are you? How are you doing? It's been a fucking while, hasn't it? It's been at least 2 months. So yeah, I've been away having surgery. What have you been up to? How have you been? Is anyone still watching this channel? I hope you are doing well and happy to be back. Let's take a look at Am I the Asshole, shall we? Just get right straight back into things. So, am I the asshole for telling a parent that their kid is weird when she pushed as to why my kid didn't want to be her friend? So my family and I have moved states. It's been a hard move, especially for my oldest daughter, Katie. She is in the 6th grade. The area's school district has a Facebook account that parents are a part of. I introduced myself on there a while ago. We put Katie on the cross-country team and she's been making friends over the summer. I got a message from a parent last week asking to meet up and let the kids meet. They would be in the same grade and I thought it would be a good opportunity. We went yesterday at the local pool. I met Melanie and she wouldn't make eye contact, was very softly spoken and overall didn't seem to be paying attention. The kids were playing while I talked to the mum. She has always been in the area and was excited her kid was getting a friend. She has always been in the area? Okay. Katie came up to me asking to leave since she wasn't feeling well. We left early and in the car she admitted to just wanting to get away from Melanie. She explained that Melanie freaked her out. She was very touchy, kept pushing her in the water, was whispering, saying things under her breath, would stare at people and make comments, comparing people to bugs, for example. I'm still confused as to what that means, and Katie told me she was uncomfortable and doesn't want to hang out with her again. The parent messaged me and asked when they could do it again. I told her the girls didn't mesh well and that we will have to decline. She then called me asking what I meant. I told her that Katie wasn't interested in hanging out since they don't mesh together. I was trying to be polite about it. This went on for a while and she told me that the kids just needed to be around each other more. How old are these children? 6th grade? I don't know what that means. How old are kids in the 6th grade? I don't know what this means. How old are 6th graders? On average 11 years old. Okay, so old enough to be making their own play dates. I don't understand why the parents are the ones organising this and getting involved. Obviously they need to be involved, but not for like desire, you know. If the kids want to meet, the kids will meet. Anyway, oops, where is it gone? Sorry, I'm just finding my place. Blah blah. I'm still confused on what that means. She messaged me, then called me asking why I wasn't interested, trying to be polite about it. This went on for a while and she told me that the kids just needed to be around each other more. I told her no to that. It went on for a while. She asked to talk to my husband, which is when I snapped. That's how forceful, like forcing your child on another person. That's really weird. I told her no and that I was trying to be polite, but your kid is weird. Melanie makes my kid uncomfortable and I don't know what the hell is up with her, but we will not have another play date. She went on Facebook and it's going around about how the new family are jerks. It seems to not be going anywhere, but I'm wondering if I was a dick. Okay, so initially I thought probably yes. I thought that it was insensitive, that some people are just different for whatever reasons, maybe culturally, neurodivergence, whatever, I don't fucking know. And that calling a child weird is maybe a bit judgmental and mean. However, OP did try and be polite about it. Her child tried to be polite about it. The parent of the other child was pushing it, wouldn't let it go, and then asking to speak to the husband instead. That's really like rude and unnecessary. Is it okay? What's the question? Am I the asshole for telling a parent that their kid is weird when she pushed? I can understand why you did it and how that happened, how you managed to snap. I would have tried to not say it. Like I would have maybe said like, look, I've already explained to you that the kids don't get on very well. I don't know why you're not taking no for an answer. You are now being very pushy and the answer is still no, goodbye. You know, so to make it more about that person's behaviour and how that's unacceptable, rather than saying like, oh well, your kid is weird, we don't want to hang out. So I don't think you're the asshole, but I don't think you should have worded it that way, but I can understand how it just came out. So not the asshole, but just maybe try and be a little bit careful, I guess. Yeah. Next one. Am I the asshole for laughing in my cousin's face when she tried to stage an intervention for my drug use? I, 27-year-old male, have a condition which causes me to overproduce earwax. Never heard of that before. I don't tell people about it because I was bullied for it growing up. Only my wife and parents know. Every other day I have to put medication in each ear, let it sit, then flush it out with a rubber-tipped syringe. This prevents ear infections, vertigo, etc. I have dealt with all of these things to some extent, so I stay on top of my eardrop regimen. If my alarm goes off when I'm with others, I go to the bathroom for 20 minutes and knock it out. That's a while. That's a shame. If I don't follow my schedule, I forget, so I can't put it off. 2 weeks ago, my mum hosted a family dinner. My cousin Cara, who is a 37-year-old female, 10 years older than OP, saw me waltz off to the bathroom to do my thing, syringe in hand, and asked what I was doing. I said, just a minor medical thing. She kept pushing, but I didn't want to say anything because she gossips. I told her it's personal and scooted past. When I left, she was standing in the hallway. She asked what took so long and why the toilet didn't flush. Bitch, mind your own fucking business. I said none of her business. She said she didn't mean to offend. Last weekend, my friend called me to invite me out to lunch with some buddies. He said to meet up at his house so we wouldn't have to drive separately. I arrive at his house to find Cara and my friends sitting solemnly on the couch. Cara said they were here to talk about my problem and that they just wanted to help. I said there is no problem. Suddenly it clicked in my head what this was about. I couldn't help but laugh a little bit out of shock. She asked what was so funny, and I said, first of all, why didn't you talk to my wife or my parents? That's what I was thinking. She said she didn't want to involve my enablers, bitch, which just made me laugh harder. She looked annoyed and said she was done trying to help. I said that's all right by me, and she stormed out. I explained to my friends. They knew I have a condition but never pressed me on it. I guess when Cara approached them, they thought I was lying. Obviously, I'd rather they know than worry about me being an addict when I'm not. I thanked them for the support anyways. Cara had apparently reached all of my friends through my social media. This is fucking overstepping. We all got a good hearty laugh out of it, which Cara must have heard because she was, of course, eavesdropping. What? I thought... So she stormed out, but she's still hanging out in your friend's house? That's a bit weird. She burst back in and told me to tell them the truth, to which I said I did. My friend kicked her out. We went for lunch and I thought that was that. My mum called me yesterday and told me she had talked to Cara about the whole thing and explained. She said Cara was very upset with me and essentially called me an asshole for not explaining and laughing in her face and embarrassing her. Well, she should have fucking asked. I said I was embarrassed and that Cara had no right to my info. I think she shouldn't go around snooping and making assumptions. My mum still thinks I should apologise. Edit to add, she didn't see my alarm go off, just ran into me on her way to the kitchen. My alarm isn't for dinner time, it's 9:15. I do it at home most of the time. That to me is completely irrelevant. Broke up the wall of text, sorry about that. So am I the asshole for laughing in my cousin's face when she tried to stage an intervention for my drug use? To be fair, you didn't really laugh in her face, you were just laughing in the same room as her. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it was like a one-on-one thing and you were like, Pa, you're so ridiculous, you're this, you're that, like that's so laughable, blah, blah, blah. You just like, out of a reaction, just laugh because like the situation is kind of ridiculous, right? So I don't think that you were the asshole in the situation. How would I have handled that? Like I say, I think Cara was fucking overstepping. I mean, to like accost someone in the hallway and be like, what are you doing? What's that? Like, why didn't I hear the toilet flush? Calm the fuck down a little bit, do you know what I mean? Especially, see if this person has absolutely no history of illicit drug use. Leave them the fuck alone. Why are you listening at the door for someone flushing the toilet? That is fucking weird. If they did have a history of drugs, okay, that's maybe a different thing, but I wouldn't like straight away arrange an intervention just like that. I would try and talk to them a bit more, maybe like talk to the wife like OP said, but to just like contact all your friends who you don't even know, like, I just think it's too fucking much. I think if I think if the cousin really was concerned and really was trying to help rather than just stick their nose in, that they would have done more to try and talk to OP directly and just say, look, I don't mean to pry, but the reason I'm asking is because you took a syringe into the bathroom for a while, and from what I can gather, you weren't using the toilet. So I'm just wondering if I should be concerned here, just having that conversation. And then OP might have explained, or they might have said, it's fine, it's a medical thing, honestly, don't worry about it, But not even trying to have more of a conversation with OP, contacting all their friends, not even trying to find out what the explanation is, just straight away assuming that it's drugs and then spreading that to other people as well that again you don't even know. Bitch, too much. I don't think that's appropriate, honestly. Like I say, if the person had a history of drug use, okay, but still I wouldn't go straight to the friends that you don't know and just be assuming that this person is back on drugs or whatever. That's not cool. Next. Am I the asshole for going to the police immediately when I found out my parents took out debt in my name? That fucking sounds like something that warrants police, to be fair. My parents took out credit cards and loans in my name. It was fine when they were paying the bills, but they got behind. I don't think it is fine. I don't have a key to the mailbox, so I never saw the bills or anything. Wait, are you living together or what? I just finished my 3rd year of university and I was going to move out. Okay, so it is your own house. You don't even have access to your own mailbox. Your parents took out credit in your name and you can't even see what they're spending the money on or if they're paying the bills. Bitch, how did you get in this situation? I was going to move out. That would require me to get a credit check and stuff. My parents freaked out and forbid me from moving out. That's ridiculous. They said it was stupid that I would waste money on moving out when I could save money living at home. You cannot confine someone to live in your home. That's fucking too much too. They didn't like my boyfriend, so I thought that was their issue. If only. Long story short, I'm about 60 grand in debt because of them. I cannot afford to pay that off. I told them that they needed to clear the debt immediately and to change the house rules so my boyfriend could spend the night. They said that they didn't have the money to pay the debt and that I could not strong arm them into changing the rules of the house. Well, bitch, you can't strong arm this person, your child, into staying in your house just because you want to continue taking out debt in their name. Bitch. I called my auntie and asked her if I could please come and stay with her a bit. She let me and asked a lot of questions. Then she showed me a dozen Reddit posts about parents screwing up their kids' future and their kids allowing it. I went to the police and reported it. My parents got arrested and charged. They are furious with me. I know they didn't spend the money on me. That's besides the point. I do not know what they did spend it on. I don't care. I feel bad for them, but I'm not letting them fuck up my future. Am I the asshole? So, okay, wait, hang on, because you haven't said anything about, hey, I didn't give permission for this to happen, I didn't know that this was happening, they just took out credit in my name, which is what I thought the situation was. If they had just taken out credit in your name without your consent, absolutely 100%, that's a fucking crime. Go to the police. You've not made it clear if that was the case, or if the only issue is that you gave them permission to take out the credit in your name, and then it just got fucking out of hand and they didn't pay off the debt that they had, and now you're left with it, whatever. Either way, it's obviously enough that the police have actually charged them for it. But surely if they'd done it without your consent, then that would have been mentioned in the post, because I feel like that's a pretty huge detail. Or did OP think that was implied? To me, that's not implied. So are you the asshole? I think that if it wasn't with your permission, then absolutely not. Go to the police, report that shit. If they did it with your permission and the only issue is the amount and the fact that they haven't paid it back, then... So you did kind of give them a bit of an ultimatum, right? You did say, changing the house rules or whatever, which... Yeah, but you... I mean, I don't want to say it seems a bit like blackmail, because that's not what it is, but do you know what I mean? I would expect that the ultimatum is look, you must pay that money back within this certain period of time, or you have to take out your own credit in order to pay for this, transfer the credit over, because I'm not fucking taking responsibility for that. Or something that's to do with the debt itself, rather than just being well, if you're going to do that, then my boyfriend gets to stay over. That seems unrelated. Like, I get it. Like, if you're going to take advantage of me in such a huge way, fuck it. You know, I'm no longer going to be like the obedient child in this situation. I get that. But I would have at least like come up with a plan and be like, this is the fucking plan. If you don't follow this plan, then I will be going to the police. That's the way I would have approached it. But to be fair, I have a history of being too nice to people. So even if that was a situation, are you the asshole? No. Would I have done it differently? Yes. Does that mean that I'm necessarily correct? No. What would y'all have done in that situation? Let me know in the comments. That's fucked up. OP doesn't say how old they are, but they talk about going off to college or whatever, and yeah, that would like fuck you up for life. Like, if your credit rating is all like messed up, that's gonna like fucking everything needs a credit score these days, which is ridiculous. But yeah, if you gave them permission to do that, the lesson is never give someone permission to take out credit in your name. Because yeah, they could be like the love of your life, yeah, they could be family, yeah, blah blah blah, whatever. People fucking do things that are not okay. And at the end of the day, you're the only one that's at risk. You're the only one that gets fucked up by it. So protect yourself. And as much as you may want to help someone, some people shouldn't get that kind of help. You know, you can help people in other ways. Let's just say that. Next. Am I an asshole for ignoring my friend's phone calls after she invited herself, her spouse, her children, and her friends to my home for an impromptu barbecue without my permission? That seems a bit fucking ridiculous. How did this come about? My friend is having a hard time with her spouse and really needs someone to be there for her while they work through their issues. We only just recently reconnected after not speaking for 4 years. Now, every time she calls, she asks me what I'm doing for the day, or at that moment, then invites herself, her family of 4, and some of her friends over to my house. That's fucking weird. What's with all the weird people today? Example 1, just for clarity, okay? So Friday was her spouse's birthday. Monday, she told me her plan was to take him to dinner. Then she calls me Friday morning asking me what I was doing. I told her I was just watching a movie on my couch. Then she says, I know it's last minute, but I want to come over and barbecue at your house. Bitch, no. She said the kids could play together and we could hang out and have some drinks. I hesitated initially and then told her that I didn't really have a lot of meat here, nor was my home company ready. She responded that she would grab some more food and do all of the cooking. Then I said, okay. That's important, you said okay. I cleaned up a little bit and then I received a second call. She excitedly told me that she invited her guy friend and he may bring a friend for me to talk to, and a female friend of hers was also coming. I was so shocked that she was trying to throw a party, not just come over and hang out with her family like she implied during the first call. Her family already was 4 people that I was not expecting, which could have made a total of 8 people, including my own children. I've only met 2 or 3 of the people she invited. She did not even ask if she could invite anyone else to my home or give out my address. Luckily, I got a call on the other line and I told her I'd call back. 2 hours passed by and she called me repeatedly. I decided to text her that something came up and I can't host a party for her husband. I did not receive a response. I waited another 2 hours and then called her to see how the barbecue That's your second mistake. I then called her to see how the barbecue party was going. She told me she didn't even have the barbecue party, like what the fuck. I asked her why she didn't ask her friends to come over to her apartment since she has her own fucking grill. Why is she wanting to put up house in your home then? And why didn't she at least go out to dinner like she planned originally? She literally didn't even answer the first question, but she said she didn't want to spend a lot of money going out to eat. Am I the asshole for making up an excuse to end the call and then ignoring all of her repeated calls to confirm? Edit, thanks for all the replies. I finally just told her I'm feeling used and that my house is not a place that she can throw parties or invite others to come to without my permission. She just responded via several texts that she doesn't have to use anyone. This whole situation is just like a mess, honestly. So are you the asshole for ignoring your friend's phone calls after she invited herself to barbecue without my permission? Are you the asshole? No. Was that the correct way to respond? No. Was it kind of passive aggressive? Arguably, yes. Did you make several mistakes during this encounter? Yes. So, Let's break it down, shall we? Okay. So, first of all, if this is a pattern of behaviour, so this isn't the first time this has happened, it's a pattern of behaviour which you know answering the phone on Friday and you're like, fuck, it's this bitch. Not necessarily, but you know what I mean, right? You're like, fuck, this bitch is calling me up. She's probably going to invite herself over. Here she goes, asking me again, so what are you up to? What are you doing? You say, I'm just watching a movie on my couch. No, you say, I'm having some alone time. I really need to rest. Okay, so you're setting up the expectation. You're trying to be alone. Shh. Right? Okay, so that's the first thing. Then she's like, oh, well, I know it's last minute, but can I come and barbecue at my house? Don't say, oh, I don't really have a lot of meat here in my house. Don't be making excuses. Tell her, actually, I just want to have some time to myself tonight. No, thank you. But you have a great time, okay? That's another thing. Cleaned a little bit, received a second call. Oh yeah, and you told her yes. You explicitly told her, yes, that's okay, come over. No, if you'd have been upfront with her from the beginning and said, I don't want to, then she may not have then asked. Did she ask? I mean, you said before that she didn't ask, or that she invited herself. Yeah, she did invite herself, to be fair. But yeah, you said in the end that it was okay. Had you set it up for like, I just want some time by myself, she might not have invited herself over, but even if she did, say you already set up the expectation that you want to be by yourself, then she's like, I'm going to come over. Then you say, look, I want to be by myself, and if I wanted you to come over, I would have fucking asked you. You maybe don't need to add that, but you get what I'm saying. So then she calls you back up again, says, oh, I've invited these other people to come over and I've got like someone for you, blah, blah, blah. You're not expecting this, fair enough. Luckily you got another call and then you said you'd call her back, but you fucking didn't. She called you repeatedly being like, so are we coming over? Are we coming over? What's the deal? You didn't answer. That's another mistake that you made. I lost track of how many mistakes you're on to now, but that's another mistake. First of all, you say, look, I didn't expect you to be like having a party and inviting other people. I thought it was just going to be you and your family, which to be honest, I wasn't really that enthusiastic about anyway, because I wanted to be by myself today, or Monday, whenever it was. So I already wasn't really that keen on it, and now you're inviting other people over. I think it's best if you just have this barbecue at your house. Or even like before that, when she was inviting herself over initially, why not say then, like, but why do you want to come here? Because you've got your own barbecue. Why don't you have them at your apartment? Like, already be pushing back. Because I thought maybe she didn't have her own space or she didn't have her own barbecue, but she fucking does. So I would just directly ask her, why do you want to do it at my house? And by the way, we only started talking again fucking 2 weeks ago after not speaking for 4 years, and now you want to fucking be at my house all the time? Then, okay, say you don't have time to say that because someone else is on the other line. Then you go deal with the person on the other line. Then you either call her back or you text her and be like, look, this is all fucking escalated a bit much. I was just wanting to have a bit of time to myself this weekend, and now you're telling me that you've invited a bunch of people to my house. I'm not comfortable with that. So I don't think that you should come over. Leave it at that. Be direct with her. Actually tell her what your issue is and what you want to happen. Okay? Might be uncomfortable, but like I say, it's not the right call to just ignore her for 2 full hours. Well, you've already told her, yes, it's okay, come over. So she thinks that you've got plans that all you need to do is finalise, but you're just ignoring her. That's not cool. What she's doing is not cool, but ignoring her is also not cool. Like, you have to be upfront with people. If you don't tell someone no, if you explicitly tell someone yes, you can't really be mad when they assume that the answer is yes, because they're not assuming that the answer is yes. They heard you say yes. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? And it is okay to change your mind. If you are like, I fucked up by saying yes, now she's inviting all these people over, I changed my mind. It's okay to change your mind too, you know? You don't feel like you're fucking locked into the situation. Then another mistake that you made is to then call her up and be like, oh, how's the barbecue going? That's just fucking like rubbing salt into the wound or whatever. Like, not only have I, like, first of all, I said that it was okay to barbecue at my house, then I ignored you, and then I told you no, it's not okay to barbecue at my house, and now I'm calling you up being like, how's the barbecue going that you wanted to have at my house, and then I said no. No, bitch, why are you, like, you can't ignore someone for 2 hours on purpose and then call them up as if nothing's happened. You're also at fault for doing that. I would have been like, okay, let me just fucking step back a little bit. All this person seems to do is to call me up and want to come over. I want to be by myself. I want a break from this person. I don't want them to keep doing this. Let me create a little bit of distance. What reason do you have to be calling her up, following up on whether or not she's had the barbecue? There's just no reason for that. And if you were like, oh, I felt bad for ignoring her, bitch, you made your bed lie. Do you know what I mean? Like, it sounds like you're a people pleaser, which I understand 100%, but sometimes it gets to the point where you're just making it bad for everyone. Do you know what I mean? Instead of pleasing this one person, you're displeasing yourself and them. So, yeah. Am I the asshole for making up an excuse to end the call and then ignoring her? I just think you handled the whole thing wrong. I don't think it makes you the asshole, but I think that you could have done things very differently. What did you say to her in the end? I finally just told her that I'm feeling used and that my house is not a place that she can just throw parties and invite others to come out with. So that's good that you listened to the other comments seemingly on this post and that you were upfront with her in the end. Good for you for doing that. And this will be a lesson for you in the future. Next time you'll know just to do that straight away. And if she's now going in a huff with you, good riddance. Do you know what I mean? Because friends don't treat friends that way. If I were the friend, I would have been like, fuck, didn't even realise that it was coming across that way. I'm so sorry. I'll be more careful in future. But she's like, I don't have to use anyone. So, yeah. Next. We spent quite a bit of time breaking that down, didn't we? Am I the asshole for reminding my friend that just because she's poor doesn't mean I am? So I'm a 20-year-old female enrolled in the laundry program at school. What the fuck is a laundry program? It's where I pay a lump sum and they do my laundry for me all year. Who does your laundry for you all year? It's very popular at my university and they pick it up from my dorm weekly. My friend, who's a 21-year-old female, is weirdly obsessed with this and constantly comments on it for some reason. She always comes over and sees my bag and has some random comment to say. She'll say, how could anyone pay for that? To which I always say, why would I ever do something I don't want to if I can just pay someone else to do it for me? I'm wondering if she's like this to everyone because that would explain why she has a few friends. Bitch, do you even like this person if you're talking about them that way? Almost everyone I know uses the laundry program. Her unwanted comments make me like her less. Fair enough. She did it again and was like, what a waste of money. The laundry program is ridiculously expensive and no one can afford that. I simply said that I don't find it expensive at all and that she finds it expensive because she's poor. I'm not, so I'll continue paying for the program. She's furious that I called her poor, but she is. It's just a fact. Am I the asshole? Edit, lol at all the bitter people. It's unfortunate that their parents don't take care of her like they should, but that's not my problem. I'm not her mum and dad. They're responsible for their kid. Am I the asshole for reminding my friend that just because she's poor doesn't mean I am? You're being fucking a bit, like, giving yourself the benefit of doubt there. You're being a bit kind to yourself by wording it that way because you didn't say, well, I've got the money, I can afford it, and I would rather pay for the convenience, which is fair enough. You're saying you're poor and that's why you think it's expensive. You are a fucking asshole. That is such an asshole thing to do. Honestly. Don't get me wrong, like, she's been like, or the whole thing is being ruled everyone sucks by Reddit community, which I agree with, because it's not her place to be judging you and your lifestyle and be like, oh, it's so expensive, why would anyone do that? Like, basically, like, having a go at you, like, in a passive-aggressive way for using this laundry service that has fucking nothing to do with her and isn't hurting anyone. Do you know what I mean? So she's in the wrong for doing that. But, like I say, you're trying to make yourself out As if like you just said, well, I can afford it. But you didn't. You fucking said, well, you're poor and that's why you think it's expensive. You're a dick. And then you're like, lol to all the bitter people. You don't want to know whether or not you're the asshole. You don't care whether you're the asshole or not. You just want people to agree with you. Otherwise, you'd be like, oh, actually, I never thought of it that way. Do you know what I mean? But instead, you're like, lol, all the bitter people. Bitch. Nah. Everyone sucks. Am I the asshole for not acting happy when my wife saw me on her morning commute? So I'm a 31-year-old male and I was driving to work this morning and I'm getting close to my exit. I'm driving along the middle lane, past the slower car in the right lane, and I'm about to switch lanes when the car in the right lane suddenly speeds up, blocking my access to that lane. Automatically, I'm annoyed and I look over to see what the hell is wrong with that driver. Turns out it's my fucking wife, who's a 30-year-old female, and she's smiling, waving, happy to see me on her way to work. I don't wave back or smile. Keep in mind that I'm already annoyed at the driver speeding up to block my way, trying to make my exit, and caught by surprise to see my wife. My wife sends me a message when she gets to work, saying she was sad I didn't wave back, but I figured she was joking and forgot about it. Later that night, she brought it up and we ended up having a mini argument over it. Turns out her feelings were actually hurt by me not acting happy to see her. From my point of view, I was kind of annoyed because I could have missed my exit or worse, gotten into an accident, which I think is fair, to be honest. I just don't think the freeway at 7 a.m. is the place to do that. From her point of view, she was trying to make a connection and show love, and I didn't reciprocate that. Am I the asshole for not waving back to my wife on the freeway when I was trying to exchange lanes and make my exit? You're kind of asking two different questions. One is, am I the asshole for not waving back? So basically like not acknowledging her. And the other one is, am I the asshole for not acting happy? You don't have to be acting happy, but like ignoring her existence and then when she texts you later, also ignoring her is kind of like a bit unnecessary. Reddit's deemed you an asshole already. I actually agree with you that it was dangerous, that her driving already pissed you off and that you kind of like were still trying to make your exit. So you didn't really have time to think about like, oh yeah, I'm so happy to see you, blah, blah, blah. Like you just were fucking like, I need to make my exit. What the fuck is this car doing? Ah, do you know what I mean? Like, I probably wouldn't have like waved or whatever either because it's like, it's such a short space of time where you need to fucking, like you say, take your exit and not have a fucking accident. So I do think that her behaviour was incorrect there. But when she texts you saying like, oh, like how come you didn't wave or whatever it was that she said, I would have actually responded to that. I figured she was joking and forgot about it. Even if she was joking, like say something, because then you've essentially ignored her twice. So no wonder she's feeling a bit hurt. You know, she's probably like, oh, are you in a mood with me? Or like, did I do something? Which in this case, the answer is yes, you did do something, but you're ignoring her instead of communicating with her. So if I was in that situation, I would have just been like, oh, sorry, I was just really surprised because I was trying to make my exit and I thought that you were like some other car purposefully blocking me, so I didn't have time to like wave back or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just explain the situation. Are you an asshole? I think that's a bit harsh, to be honest. I don't think you are an asshole. And I don't think that you should be expected to act happy when you're not. Again, acknowledging her would have been nice, but I can understand how you just didn't have time to do that. So I actually don't think you're the asshole. I just would have handled it differently after the fact of the actual driving incident, just in regards to the communication afterwards. I would have done it differently, but I don't think you're the asshole actually. We've got two more to go. Am I the asshole for telling my friend that she isn't traumatised from somebody else's proposal? Who are you to say what traumatises someone and what doesn't, but at the same time, traumatised by a proposal of someone else that didn't even involve you? Let's read. I, 20-year-old female, have had 3 close friends in college. Grace is 21, Matt, who's also 21, and Laura. Everyone's 21 except you. Laura really likes using mental health terminology. She explores a lot of labels from those therapist influencers online, okay? She was told that she has an anxiety disorder and depression, but that's the only diagnosis she's been given so far. Recently, she's been exploring autism and ADHD. Matt wanted to propose to Grace. They've been dating for a while. He's been planning the proposal for a couple of weeks, and while the proposal was very intimate between the two of them, I was very involved in scheduling the after proposal event at the restaurant. The specifics of that are irrelevant to the story, but it was lovely and Grace and Matt seemed really happy. Thank you for skipping the irrelevant parts. I appreciate that. Laura told us that she didn't want to be involved in planning the proposal because it reminded her of her parents' divorce. She said that she might come to the post-engagement party. Well, come the day of the engagement and both Matt and I forget to check in on Laura. I don't think it's Matt's fault at all because he was occupied with far more important things, but I feel guilty about not reminding her. Why? She's an adult. Why do you need to remind her to come to the party? She said that she doesn't want to be involved in the planning and that she might come. It's up to her, in my opinion, to make that decision and inform you of such decision. Why do you feel guilty about not reminding her? She knows. She ended up not coming to the party anyway. So the next day, she starts posting online some dramatic, for lack of a better word, things about how it was traumatising to see how little her friends cared about her. Bitch, please. And that she'll be updating her followers on her trauma therapy journey. She posts that she's now in a really dark place and she thinks she has PTSD. Are you sure that's related? Are you sure it's not just that it happened to happen in close proximity, but she's actually talking about the trauma of her parents' divorce, which was then triggered by your friend's engagement? That's different. Being traumatised by an event and being triggered by an event are two different things. So maybe you need to educate yourself up on there, or maybe you're explaining it right. I don't know, let's continue. For context, I'm pretty sensitive to mentions of trauma and PTSD because I was diagnosed with PTSD by a psychologist in my last year of high school after something that happened in my first. I felt a lot of guilt and shame around this because I spent a lot of time feeling that the thing that happened wasn't bad enough to even count. Sometimes I still get nightmares and flashbacks, but it's gotten better after therapy. I know that I have my own issues wrapped up regarding the word, and it bothers me a lot when people seem to throw the terms around without understanding the weight, but I also acknowledge that I can't stop the internet from doing its thing. I haven't told any of my college friends about this, so Laura doesn't know. At one point, she called me and started explaining how traumatised she is, and I finally snapped and said, "You're not traumatised, stop being dramatic, you just got exactly what you asked for." This person has already been deemed not the asshole, but so far, I tend to disagree. Let's continue. Now I feel guilty because I feel like I was a little harsh and she's posting online, without my name at least, that one friend that she thought she could really rely on to support her is abusive. That's a bit much and doesn't understand how being traumatised works. However, I feel like, honestly, Laura's being very dramatic about an event that's not even about her. But again, I think you're misunderstanding what she's calling traumatising. You know, I think you should actually clarify that before you go making accusations and being really actually quite insensitive. I called my mum to see what her opinion is, and she told me that I could have reminded Laura about the party, and while my point is not necessarily wrong, could have been more sensitive, so now I'm not sure how wrong I am. So am I the asshole for telling my friend that she isn't traumatised from somebody else's proposal? I hope you can't hear my washing machine beeping in the background there. I'll deal with it in a minute. Okay, you're not an asshole for not reminding her. She's a grown-ass adult. She can remind her damn self. You're not an asshole for not checking in on her. It was somebody else's day. Would it have been very nice and considerate if you were to check in on her? Yes. If I were Laura, would I have been a bit sad that you didn't check in on her? Maybe, possibly, but is that something that I would have expected? No, because it's not about me, it's someone else's day. Do you know what I mean? Are you the asshole for saying, you're not traumatised by the event, you're just being dramatic, get over it, essentially? I think you are, honestly. Because sure, you understand trauma from your perspective. You're dealing with it based on your situation and your context. And just to be clear, like, I also have PTSD and have various other mental health issues, so I'm also coming from a place of like having a personal understanding. But just because you personally have experience with a condition or a trauma or whatever the case may be, doesn't mean that you can then speak about somebody else's experience, because that equally has nothing to do with you and you equally don't know their full story. Sure, it might seem like they're posting on social media about it all the time, that they share everything. You might think that you're clued in on the situation, but there's no way that you could fully know all the facts of the situation and all the emotions around the situation. It's not for you to decide whether or not someone is traumatized. It's not okay to just hit out with that, okay? And again, I don't think that that's necessarily what Laura was talking about. I think probably, and maybe I'm wrong, but you don't fucking know because you never asked, you never clarified. But I think probably what the trauma is that she's referring to is the parents' divorce, and she was just triggered by this proposal. Okay? Like, and even if that's not what she was saying, even if she was saying, no, it's the proposal that traumatized me, again, it's not your place to say whether it did or didn't. Are you a fucking licensed mental health professional? Did she come to you for that sort of opinion? I'm guessing not. So I think that's the kind of situation where you use your own experience to say, you know what? She has no idea what I've been through. And equally, I don't know what she's going through. So maybe I should just fucking bite my tongue. And even if I have certain opinions about her situation, that's not really for my place to make that judgment and to say that to her. Do you know what I mean? So I do think you're the asshole, actually. I disagree with Reddit. Okay, last one. Extra long episode today for my comeback. Am I the asshole for telling my parents that they need to place their next kid up for adoption? My parents have 4 kids already. Me, who's a 17-year-old male, my younger sister who's 13, my younger brother who's 12, and my youngest sister who is 10. So there's a bit of gap between the first and second, and then they're fairly close in age. My parents have relied on me heavily to take care of my siblings. It started when I was still too young to do much, but they put the siblings in my room if a nightmare happened, and after each sibling was 6 months old, they started sharing a room with me until they were 3. Then it was getting me to prepare something to eat for my younger siblings. It was also staying home with them while my mum went shopping, and over time it evolved. I help with homework, I make sure they're awake for school, I walk them to school since I don't have a car, feed them most of the time, and I'm the one they come to if they need help with something. Keep in mind that OP is still 17, so they've been doing this for at least the last 10 years when they've been a child themselves. My parents will drop them off at birthday parties or to friends' houses. They'll take us out for family experiences and admittedly expect me to keep an eye on my siblings. My parents provide the food and house and clothes. I provide the emotional stuff. I don't love doing it, but I got so used to it that it became second nature. I'm still the person my youngest sister comes to if she has a nightmare or is afraid of anything during the night. My parents learned that they were pregnant again in February. They told me and my siblings last month. It was very much talked about like I will have the baby with me in my room from the jump, and I should learn how to independently change diapers and stuff. I made it clear from the jump that I wasn't raising their next kid for them. I told them I had more responsibility to my 3 siblings than I should have ever had. Fair. I wasn't going to skip my own life to raise an infant from the start. My parents were shocked. They tried to get one of my younger siblings on board, but they said no way. They didn't want to be responsible like me. My parents turned to me with the topic and asked what the fuck they're meant to do. And they never expected me to reject a sibling like this. I said I reject child raising another one of their kids, not the sibling. I agree, that's an important distinction. But also, I'll be out of the house in 7 months. I won't be around the new sibling as much, and the relationship might not be the same. I told them I don't want the same relationship either. I don't want to be a parent to another sibling. They made it pretty clear that they don't want to do the actual child raising stuff, and they're a living nightmare over this. Bitch, that's one of the things that annoys me so much, is parents who should not be parents, either because they're totally unequipped to be parents, or because they clearly do not want to parent anyone. You don't have to have kids. If you can't handle having kids, don't have kids. Anyway, when the topic came up during the last week, I told them they need to place the baby for adoption since they won't have a good childhood with no one wanting to raise them. I told my parents it would be the kindest thing to do if they refused to raise the baby themselves. My parents accused me of treating adoption flippantly, and they were sort of outraged that I would rather place the baby for adoption than for me to step up and raise this one too. I'm like, so, bitch, the parents, they're the one who don't want to raise their own child. They're the ones who are essentially saying, yeah, you know what? I want all the good things of having a child, but I don't want to actually have to deal with raising them. I know, I'll fucking palm them off to one of my other poor children who's already raised 3 kids for me. Bitch, fuck off. No, you're not the asshole. It seems to me from what you've written, which is obviously biased, but it seems for me to what you've written, that you said it with consideration. You thought about it, you didn't just blurt it out, that you were serious in what you were saying, that you had your reasons for saying it. So I don't think you're the asshole. I think you were saying it from a place of genuine concern for that new child's well-being. You're not the asshole, the parents are the asshole. People who are not equipped or willing to be parents should not be parents. No, adoption is not a small thing. No, abortion is not a small thing. Okay, I want to make that very clear. However, having a baby is not a small thing either. Like, the default option should not just be to have the child but raise it incredibly poorly or to palm it off on some other person. That's not cool. Okay? OP's not the asshole, the parents are the asshole. One of my bands, 2 of my bands snapped actually, but one of them is like running away. Anyway, that's all for this episode. How did you find it? I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you are glad that I'm back. I think that was fun. I enjoyed that. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Let's see how often I post in future. I actually, some people on my YouTube channels had said nice things about me and suggested that I do voiceover work, and I didn't tell you, but actually for a while now I've been doing voiceover work, and I recently got a new client which will be taking up some of my time. So let's see how often I end up posting on this channel. Let's see how that goes. But yeah, let me know if there's anything you've seen that you want me to talk about. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you again in the next one, and have a great weekend. Bye bye, bye bye, bye.